Greetings and salutations, TheKyllax here. Just looking at my mic levels, they are indeed good. I'm going to do an initial reaction to the combo breaker patch notes like I did for the Opwash patch notes. If you're asking me why I didn't do any of the other patch notes reaction videos, it's just because I'm never around for my rig over the weekend, so I'm never available to do them when they release the patch notes on Friday. So like I did last time, I'm gonna save the new god for last, and then just kind of I'll start with the art and the new skin stuff first, and then I'll end with Ravan last. So looking at the art and the new skins, the Dragon King Ao Kuang skin, eh, I guess it looks okay. It just doesn't. I don't know. Nothing about it like sticks out to me. It just seems very recolory. It just seems like a recolor to me instead of a tier 2 skin, you know. Some of the other tier 2 skins have just something that sticks out in my mind that kind of distinguishes them from the regular or recolor skin, whereas this one just nothing about it sticks out to me. Looking at the Huyi, what they're calling the Iron Crow skin, it looks a lot like Jason Todd, the Red Hood. And if you don't know who that is, I've actually come prepared. This right here is Jason Todd, who is a character in the DC comic series called the Red Hood. And this is what he looks like. So he looks a lot like Iron Crow Huyi, except for the jacket part. But, you know, the Red Hood fits in there with her. There's the Ravan alternate recolor skin, and I guess we'll get to that later. Ravan for me just kind of looks like Ram and Kumakarna kind of had a baby. I'll get into that when we get into more about Ravan. Looking at the new voice packs, the Iron Crow Huyi sounds a lot like Bane. You think you merely adapted the dual lane. I was born in it, raised by it. I was already a full-fledged ADC before I saw mid lane, and by then it was only terrifying. That's my brain impersonation. Thank you very much. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff for my Bane impersonation. It's amazing. Speaking of impersonations, there's the announcer voice packs, which I don't know how Nox got the nod or the voice, or you know, the nod from the community. It's just like, when I think announcer packs, I don't think Nox. It sounded very angry. That's all I can say about that. I mean, I would have to hear all the phrases and stuff in it before I could say whether or not it's BM along the lines of their other announcer packs now. But at least now, hopefully this gives us some more variety in our announcer packs. Swagny announcer packs, oh joy, now I get to hear his voice pack even when he's not in the game. And if you can't tell, this is my sarcastic face and voice. Please Hi-Rez, fix the crap where everybody can hear the voice packs before this comes out. I can't stand the Swagny voice pack. I mean, I know it's a very popular voice pack, and don't get me wrong, if you like it, that's great. Great for you. Awesome. I personally just don't care for it. It's just so annoying. There are a few other ones that are more annoying, but that one is pretty much in my top 5 for annoying voice packs in Smite. Moving along. The season ticket program. Overall, I like the program. I love the program. It's promoting Smite esports. Drop down option, split option. Thank you, Hi-Rez. Thank you. Everybody was clamoring for it. Everybody wanted it. You guys added it. Awesome. Good. Keep that up. Because it was hard to determine who would take the first game and who would take the second game. It would just it would be more based on like your personal experience with the team as opposed to, like, I feel, actual esports knowledge, because some teams, I don't know, you know, some people
Some teams take a game to get warmed up, I guess. Is the only thing I could think of that to determine who would win the first game versus who would win the second game. So sometimes I got those right. Sometimes I didn't. I think I was about 50-50, honestly. I would have to look back through it, but I think I was about 50-50 correct when I would split my vote. Now supports tournaments, now supports free treasure rolls for any non-exclusive skin. Okay. More rewards. Great. Awesome. That's awesome. Not that I mean the rewards that they had weren't good, but more is always better, of course. And now you'll see more people picking it up. You'll see more people having it as their loading frame, and thus more promotion, etc., etc., etc. Players will be rewarded for rewards this patch. That's great. The Swagny announcer pack. I don't really care. I already talked about that. The Iron Crow Huyi is about 7,000. I'm going to be shooting for that one, as well as the Void Worm Kukulkan, to see if I can as well, and with more to come. So that's great. That's awesome. Each week you'll make your picks. I'm just kind of reading through this. I think they changed some of the points rewarding. Like if you get +2, if you get the best of or set it correctly, you'll earn 40 fantasy points. New emotes, that's great. I don't buy emotes. The new UI season ticket loading frame now evolves. That's good. That's great. So now we're even more loading frames, even more, you'll see it evolve from at 4,000 and 8,000 fantasy points. Cool. More is always better. And plus, I mean, if you already bought it, I think it's a good deal. It's what, 300 gems for it, and it's a loading frame, and you get to participate in earning all this fantasy points to get all this stuff. So, wunderbar. It's awesome. Miscellaneous, blah, blah, blah. Fixed robot. Nobody cares. Spectate. Fixed a right-click painting issue that would lock up controls. That's always good. Spectator. If you've never dealt with Spectator, having done tournaments and casting and so forth, I know how much of a biatch Spectator can be. When Spectator does not want to play along with you, you basically just have to sacrifice a goat or chicken and or prey, basically that it works. Now can turn off overlay mesh. All right, gameplay general. Fire Giant and Gold Fury now have 50% reduction lifesteal from hitting them. Good. No long. I don't feel like it's gone are the days of a hunter or something soloing it. I just feel like gone are the days of a level 10 or below hunter being able to solo it with lifesteal. Um, Especially lifesteal alone. This also will force it to be more of a team objective. It will require more than just your hunter, sending your hunter over there and saying, go at it, you have lifesteal, you have all your devourer stacks completed, go forth and take this objective. Will just keep everybody else busy. So good. I actually like that change. That's great. Ward changes. The ward reduce the maximum number of wards placed per player from 3 to 2. That is actually important to notice, especially for anybody that plays supports like I do. I will go out and I will get 2 regular wards and then one sentry ward, especially later in the game. It'll be something that I will have to take into consideration when placing the wards now. You might see supports holding on to wards longer now. I don't see why not. At the very beginning, you'll at least run into people who will kind of like forget about that. So they will place 3 wards, and what I believe that will end up doing is just removing the first ward that you put on. If you know better or if I'm incorrect, please correct me below in the comments. Killing an enemy basic ward or sentry ward rewards 50 gold. Great. I mean, it's decent. It's a decent change because it's just an added bonus to going out and counter warding or taking out somebody else's ward. Before it was just go take care of that ward because you want to have control of the vision. Well, now you can control the vision and get 50 gold for it. It's not huge, but that is a welcome change. I like it. I applaud that change. All wards are revealed for 1 second when placed. Why? I don't understand that at all. Like if I don't get that. I don't understand. I guess it makes it so you have to be more mindful of when you place your wards. Like you don't want to place them with the enemy nearby so that they can see the ward. It will definitely take two or more people in order to take a ward down if in that 1 second if they do see it. So I don't know. I guess it's just a way of counter. Getting some knowledge about your enemy team's ward placement, I guess, without having to buy as many sentry wards is the only thing I can really think of. I don't really agree with the invisibility of 1 second. Supposedly there's a hard maximum of 10 wards, so 10 wards, 2 per player. That is indeed true. I just saw that on somebody's Twitter. I just had a question mark. I actually have notes this time, so I'm a little bit more prepared. I wrote these out while I was watching the patch notes, so that I wouldn't forget to kind of talk about this stuff. Moving along, Gold Fury. What do we got? The value of the Gold Fury killed now scales the team gold starting at 100 and gaining plus 10 per minute of game time to a maximum of 350. So at the very beginning, if you can take out a Gold Fury in the very first minute of the game, will get everybody on the team 100 gold, I feel. Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah, because it's 1,500. I have to do math. It's 14. It was 1,400. All right. And it scales to XP starting at 100, gaining plus 10 per minute. Long story short, this is to kind of counteract snowballing, because oftentimes teams that would get the very first Gold Fury in a game would end up winning like over 80% of the time. I think. I don't have the exact numbers, and I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt because 67% of statistics are made up on the spot. But I know it's some ridiculously high number, over 75%, I believe. And once again, if I'm incorrect, correct me below in the comments. Kill bounties, XP rewards for god kills in the early game have been adjusted. The calculations now grant less for lower level victims, but still are rewarding at higher levels. Again, this is trying to counteract the snowballing that you see, giving up first blood, oh GG, F6 at 10 mentality. It's not, it will be the same for that early game kill since you're both on the same level, but you can't keep going back and killing that same character who's 6 levels below you and continue snowballing. It's another anti-snowballing measure. Number of jungle creatures. There are a number of modifications to jungle in the Hand of the Gods happening this patch. I would say so, yes, definitely. Have been the base stats of several camps have been adjusted to reflect this, and this is actually important to note that the camp's starting health and damage have been reduced fairly severely, I would say. 250 to 180, the 70 health, especially at the very beginning, is pretty big for the Cyclops small. Harpy small also dropped about, looks like they dropped about 70, and almost halved the amount of damage that they do, which is good, because with the changes to Hog, definitely this was required. Now, that was kind of one of the things I was worried about with the changes to the Hog, and we'll get to that, but that was one of the things I was worried about. I was like, some gods that go out there and jungle basically almost die just trying to do their first camp solo. Heaven forbid they have to do it solo, but for whatever reason they have to do it solo. Trying to do it solo at early levels almost gets them killed. Kali comes to mind. Like Kali, if you don't do it correctly early game, those camps will kill you. So this is a welcome change in conjunction with the hog change, which I'll get to. Not that the hog change is great, but if they're going to do those hog changes, that is a good change as well. I feel like they took into account what are called secondary effects. Conquest jungle camps. Mid camps are returning for the first spawn at 0-10 to encourage more diversity in team-wide jungle starts. I don't feel like that's true. I really don't. The reason that they took, and the reason I say that I don't, is because of the logic and the, I guess, philosophy or whatever Smite was going for when they took them out from 10 seconds. For those of you who don't know, this is the way it used to be. It used to be mid-camp spawned at 10 seconds. And what you would end up seeing is the mid laner, it depend. You would see 3 people from each side on a mid camp. So you would see 3 people from one team on the right side, basically on the right mid camp. You'd see 3 people. I think it was the mid lane, jungler, and solo laner. Used to start on the right side mid camps, and then they would break up. I think we'll see a return to that, but they took them out because those fights were essentially not really determining the match, but like too important. It was very stagnant. I just don't agree that it'll encourage more diversity in team-wide jungle starts. I actually think this will discourage jungle starts, and we'll just kind of go back to that start that we saw before, and then I don't know. I have to do some more thinking about it, but I just don't see it. I see it as a return to what we had before. Moving on. Looking through some of my notes here. Camp spawning faster. The reduced respawn timer from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. I don't jungle often, but when I do, I always feel like I always have some sort of jungle that I need to clear before I go. I don't gank enough and I farm too much, so this will probably drive me insane. But one thing to take away from this is that with them respawning faster, is there will now be more XP and gold available on the map. So something to think about, especially for mid laners or maybe those gods that you'll probably end up seeing more splitting, more sharing of camps between teams, because now they're respawning faster, and plus B, the changes to hog will essentially require them to get some assistance in clearing these camps. So that's why I fully expect to see, and so yeah, more XP, more gold now available on the map with these respawning faster. Moving along, items handed the gods tree. Hog has dominated Smite active items for quite some time. I would definitely say so. It's become somewhat of a crutched conquest. I don't know if it really has. Its effectiveness of certain counter picks and matchups throughout the game. With change below, we adjust the effectiveness of Hog and Lane, requiring more buy-in for it while preserving its ability to secure jungle buff camps. It has indeed preserving its ability to secure jungle buff camps. Yeah, I guess so. Moving, let's just look at the numbers here real quick. Hand of the Gods rank 1 only hits a single target, 1 minion. Target is always the one with the highest maximum health. So that is always, on jungle camps, that's always the minion with the buff, whether it's an orc or a harpy or whatever, what have you, the big one. Now what that means is, I don't know, like, so I think you'll see fewer warriors in the solo lane. I honestly think that's what this will entail, while giving more I think you'll see more playability out of healers. Ra, I think, will be coming back to the solo lane because his clear will be good. He doesn't have to really worry about putting up with a warrior. With Bellona, for instance, I would always start off with Bluestone Pendant, and then I would get Hog 2. And that would allow me to clear, every 60 seconds. So every other wave, I could clear out the back archers, at least. So that is somewhat of that is a big, huge change, and that's one of the biggest changes in this patch that people need to realize and actually start thinking about now. It doesn't take away from the double hog steal start, because if you're going to go steal somebody's blue buff, it's right here where it says target is always the one with the highest maximum health. The one with the highest maximum health. So you can still go over to blue buff, double hog it, and those hogs will still take effect on the buff minion. And honestly, if you want, you can just leave the other two. So you can go in, double hog, steal the buff, and get out. I mean, you'll lose the experience of the other two minor minions, but you'll get the buff, and sometimes that's what's more important. Continuing on, Rage of the Gods rank 2 or rank 2 hog now hits 2 targets, which yay, I guess, whatever. I don't think anybody will be picking it up just so they can hit an additional target. I think people will still be picking it up for the same reasons as they picked it up before in order to decrease their cooldown. And Fist of the Gods, NPC targets are always the 3 with the highest maximum health. Okay, great. Wrath of the Gods, rank 3. All right, this is a humongous change, and it took me a long time to wrap my head around this change. So basically, it no longer deals a percentage of health damage to objective bosses. So when it got into that yellow range, that meant it was within execute range with the Wrath of Gods or Hog 3. So whenever team fights would occur over map objectives such as the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant, you would see whoever was better with their Hog 3 or had more Hog 3s would usually end up taking it. What this change from percentage now to true damage allows is for gods with bigger burst damage or more higher damage ultimates in order to contend these objectives better, because at the 25% health range was beyond their capability of damage. They were beyond those ultimates damage ability, if that makes any sense. So now what this does is moves that execute range now into the range of of gods with huge burst ultimates for them to secure those objectives. So I think you'll be seeing more Vulcan pickups, more Scylla pickups, more Poseidon pickups, maybe more Ra pickups, somewhat. His ultimate is a lot of damage. I don't think it's along the lines of 1,000 damage, but there are gods out there that can hit 1,000 damage ultimates. So you will see those I think you'll see those gods come into play more often because of this change. Because basically that now becomes a counter to Hog 3. Moving along. Greater sprint as a whole no longer removes in-hand movement speed penalties. That's good. Now you'll see people kind of debating whether or not to get sprint or fatalis, because sometimes people would pick up sprint, and so every 60 seconds they could get rid of that in-hand movement speed penalty, but that is still now in place. So you'll move faster, but you will still when you're attacking, you'll still have that penalty. All right, haste and fatal, heavenly agility, reduced duration from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. Okay. I didn't really feel like haste and fatal or heavenly agility was too too much or needed a debuff, but that's okay. I don't see that as anything huge. Haste and Fatalis. The in-hand movement speed penalty is now removed for 2 seconds instead of 1 second on successful hit. Yeah, I don't feel like that was necessary. I really don't. Haste and Fatalis was most often picked up on gods like Boxer and Freya, and it was picked up so that it would give them a chance to stick to targets better. I don't feel like an additional second was needed, because if you can't keep up with somebody with a 1 second successful removement of the speed penalty, 2 seconds, you might see more. Basically, you might see more Freya and Boxer pickups, and maybe Ao Kuang, although Ao Kuang gets picked up less on. Basically, if there's a god, long story short, if you've picked up Haste and Fatalis before on a god, or if it was core to their build, you might see some increased play from them. I really don't think so. It gives them a little bit more viability, but not that much in my mind. All right, kin size, excuse me. Price reduced from 330 dropped. Price reduced 200 gold. I think this is a revert to the last nerf where they increased the price. So you'll see kin size picked up more, and auto attack gods such as Kali and Osiris, you might see them come into play a little more. Shoes of the Magi. Pen is back. Yes. Thank you. This makes this mages a little bit more viable now. The magical power is reduced by 15, but the penetration was increased. Now provides 10 magical penetration. Those of you who didn't know, Shoes of the Magi used to provide a flat, I believe it was 25 magical penetration plus some magical power. They removed that and upped the magical power. Well, now they've kind of decreased the magical power by 15 and upped the magical penetration. Good. Thank you. Honestly, there aren't that many pen items in general, and there are probably even fewer magical pen items. So this will make mages early game a little bit easier on them. So again, you might see some more mages over in the soul lane, such as Ra. Moving along, Magi's Blessing. They increased the price 100 gold, and they increased the cooldown from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. I feel like that's the bigger change, is the increased cooldown from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. Now, full disclosure, I rarely pick up Magi's Blessing. I don't know why. It's just, I don't think it's that good, and that probably speaks to how good of a player I am, but I rarely pick it up unless they have like a super heavy CC team. I will rarely pick it up, but so I think you will still see people picking this up, even for additional 100 gold and the increased cooldown from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. So I don't think it's going to discourage anybody from buying it. Heartseeker and Doom Orb. I'm just going to kind of lump these two together. No longer have like minion based stacks. So it's not based on going out and killing minions. It's based on getting actual god kills. This is also huge. Plus, it also halves your stacks lost on death. Maximum of 10 stacks with 6 physical power, looking at Heartseeker, per stack. So a possible 60 physical power plus the 20 physical power that has built into it. So 80 physical power. But you'll notice there is no additional movement speed with each stack either. There's just a flat 10 movement speed. So that will affect gods like Loki and I'm trying to think. Post it down in the comments below. I know there's a few other gods who pick up Heartseeker just for the movement speed, but Loki is one of the biggest ones. Post down in the comments below what other gods I missed, but this is huge. It's no longer going to be picked up every game. Basically, Heartseeker, Doom Orb, don't buy them. Just don't. In order to get them fully stacked, you would have to be fed. Basically, you have to get either three, well, you have to be 3 kills. No, I'm sorry. 5 kills or 10 assists. So, uh, I don't I don't think you'll see those picked up for a long time now. You might see them picked up in casual matches where pros are pub stomping, but other than that, I don't think those are gone. The Heartseeker meta is now kaput. Void Shield, fixed description displaying passive instead of aura. Great. Witchblade fixed something. God balances updates. Fixed. Updated tooltip. Fix this. Fix that. Bastet. Now people are saying like this has weakened her, and it has. She's the only god who received any sort of a nerf in this patch. But the nerf was this: reduce the health of the cats from 650 to 500 at the beginning level, 850 to 700. So basically, they dropped the health 150. Now this was changed in order to also go along with the changes to the Hands of God. But the thing to remember about this is now Hand of God 1 only targets 1 cat. So I don't know how that's going to pick a cat since they all have the same starting health, and it's supposed to pick the one with the maximum health, the maximum available health, or the maximum potential health that they have. So I don't know. I guess it'll just be random. But Hand of the Gods will no longer affect all 3 of her cats like it used to. Now will only affect 1 cat or at most 2 cats. So that's something important to keep in mind. So they decreased the amount of health to the cats, but the change to Hog also kind of gives her a buff, if you think about it. All the rest of the god changes are just fixes. Fixes or updated tooltips. So, all right. Moving along. Robin. You know what? I'm just going to stop the recording right now, and I will do Robin on his own video. So I hope you enjoyed this portion of it. Give me a few minutes, and I will do the Robin portion of it. Like, comment, subscribe if you want me to do more of these when I can, or when I actually see the patches. So thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you in game.